You ever wanted to go into a duo hardcore world with one of your friends? Do everything wrong but yet so right at the same time? Do your best to not die in an entire series where you guys basically play the game for weeks on end? Yeah, I've just done that with one of my friends, and this is 100 days in duo hardcore Minecraft. Our 100 days was going to be so much better than anything before. We had 3 goals set in mind. Get full netherite armor each, defeat the wither, and defeat the enderdragon, which means we're going to have a beacon at some point. We built some really cool structures and made our world amazing. I'm doing my best to blur all these right now, but they look really cool even while blurred. If you want to see the process of all of these builds and our entire accomplishments of this 100 days, stick around and enjoy 100 days in duo hardcore Minecraft. So duo hardcore starts off almost the exact same way as every other hardcore world we've done. Mine some trees, get some cobblestone, get your basic tools, and move on. The goal is to explore as much as possible in a short amount of time. And I'd say I covered that for the both of us. Now after we got both of our tools, we split up and started going in different directions. We definitely didn't do this the whole series, but just for now. Along the way, I was able to find a spruce village, which was really nice because I love spruce wood and there was a lot of spruce wood near us, so I already knew what I was going to build out of. And now we have villagers at a very convenient area. After that, I also found a shipwreck, and you know what? It wasn't that great. I mean, it had iron, so I guess that was good. I haven't had to go mining yet, so that's... Actually, I don't know why I haven't gone mining yet. I mean, normally I go mining first, but anyway, we're exploring. Once I did that, I inhabited another village across the way and decided to take all of their food sources, aka I stole all of the hay. And I'm proud of it. I don't care. Villagers do not deserve food. I don't like them. And after I stole from all of these villagers, a spider tried to avenge them. Luckily, I am much better at Minecraft than him, and he decided to Kermit of his own volition after realizing how good at the game I am. As I continued my adventures, I found another village. I don't know what's happening right now. I think I have a village radar. But I was able to find an acacia village with a desert temple behind it. Once I got into the temple, I obviously didn't blow up because that would be bad. And there were a couple gaps in there. Nothing too special. Remember that shipwreck from earlier? Yeah, it had a buried treasure map. And once I found that buried treasure, I was gifted a diamond. And a singular diamond means basically nothing to me, so I threw it away. Just kidding. I would never do that. Anyway, found another village. Don't ask me questions, okay? I don't know how there's 4 villages pretty close to each other, but it's an ice village, so it's really cool. I'm glad I just didn't find 3 of the same, or 4 villages? 4 of the same villages next to each other that were like the same type of, you know what I mean? Never mind. Anyway, they of course had a really cool igloo, which has the witch underneath, or not the witch, what am I saying? It's the zombie. I'm doing a zombie doctor challenge. Achievement, not challenge. What am I saying? You know what? Never mind. I cured someone, okay? I'm being a good guy to society. I'm basically giving myself good karma against these villagers, hoping they will follow me later. Oh yeah, by the way, this was day 2 when I found the other 2 villages. You probably can tell based on like the nighttime, daytime cycle that's going on right now. But anyway, as soon as day 2 was about to end, I found myself a resting place. Somewhere I will start my 100 days of hardcore journey. Oh, and if you're wondering what Winter was doing this entire time, yeah, he was just mining. He didn't explore very much in the beginning, but he did later. So yes, technically he was doing the very boring stuff right off the bat, and I was giving you content, so like me more, please. I don't know why I'm saying I don't like mining, because the next few days I spent down in the caves. And I'm not going to try and bore you guys with all the minor details, but I found this really cool ravine with 2 veins of diamonds as well as a mob spawner. Now, the mob spawner was basically useless as the fact that I'm far away from my base, but the 2 veins of diamonds adding up to 9 diamonds right off the bat was pretty nice. It was uneventful until I found my own axolotl, which led me straight into a vein of diamonds. It also led me into a zombie, but we don't talk about that part. To this day, I still don't know where this axolotl is. Hopefully it's in a chest somewhere. Hopefully it's not dead. Hopefully I remember to find it in 200 days, if you guys want me to do 200 days. Oh yeah, by the way, if you want me to do 200 days, hit the like button down below and comment 200 days so I know you guys want it anyway. Back to the video. I'm rewatching all this footage just like you guys are at this point, and I was mining this 1 diamond in this ravine, and the axolotl is blue now. What happened? While I was in said ravine, I actually found another mob spawner, and you won't believe what's in the chest. That's right, my first ever god apple, or enchanted golden apple, depending on which genre of Minecraft you play. Obviously, I'm a 1.8 player, so we call them god apples, but here you guys might actually call them enchanted golden apples, which is kind of weird, but I'll get used to it eventually. Pretty sure this is like one of the most rarest things to get in this game, so I'm gonna hold on to this bad boy. After a very successful mining trip, we had about 15 diamonds as well as a diamond pickaxe we already made, probably about a stack of gold and a couple stacks of iron. And this was the area I was going to be settling down in, and this is where I start my large starter base. Winter, however, is right over here starting his actual starter base, which is small, very nice, and doesn't take him like 40 days to build. Speaking of starter bases, I'm gonna need spruce for mine, so I headed over to the local spruce forest and decided to, well, deforest. Only if this place were a taiga, that'd be so much better because it wouldn't take near as long to get all the wood I'm needing. After I grabbed quite a few trees, I decided to replant, but the night was soon crawling up on me and I had to head home. We were not taking any chances in this 100-day series. There was gonna be no deaths because otherwise it wouldn't work. Alright, well, everyone's favorite is land clearing and terraforming when it comes to a build, so I'm gonna kind of skip over this. It took a little while, but eventually we got flat land. So once all the land was flat, I started building the foundation of this place, and let's just say this place is a lot bigger than I thought, and I have a practice world where I build on, so I was switching back and forth between that, so there's no time lapse, unfortunately. But while working on this that day, Winter actually needed help with his roof for his house, and I decided to go help him with it. So he was having troubles with his roof, which I have a lot of troubles with as well, but he was trying to put it on the inside of his logs, and I just didn't think that made a lot of sense. I decided to help him out a little bit and decided that the house would look a lot better as a 2-story house because the roof would be a little bit overbearing. So once he was on that journey, I was able to start hunting for deep slate on day 9. Oh, and while going and hunting for deep slate in the caves, I had 2 very, very close, not really close, but kind of funny calls with lava. And I'll actually let you guys hear the audio for these. I just jumped in lava.
You didn't die, did you?
No. It was dumb, but I didn't die. Oh, don't worry, I said 2 separate occurrences. This one's a little bit worse. Oh, I actually just fell in lava this time. Let's just say, if you're not a Minecraft veteran, don't dig straight down. All jokes aside, I spent the rest of day 9 getting myself a lot of deep slate because I'm going to need so much for this build. And then once I was done with that, it was already day 10 and I had to get myself even more spruce. That's how big this build is. That 1 spruce strip and actually probably 5 isn't enough. At this point, I'm changing my job title to lumberjack so I can legally commit deforestation. Once I was decently satisfied with all the trees being cut down, I went back to building. And like I said before, I don't have a time lapse due to how old the recording is and me having to refer back to a creative world where I actually built this. But after about 3 or so days of building, we have this. And I would say it looks really, really nice. However, this is nowhere near done. So let's just say, expect about 3 times bigger later. And if you don't believe me, you're not the only one. Winter had 0 clue what 3 times bigger really meant. Also, he accuses me of not knowing scale in Minecraft. And I have to say, he's right. Yeah, I have no idea when it comes to scale. I'm really good at making too big of buildings. So I ended up taking a break for a solid 20 minutes from building and decided to make an enchantment table that is level 30. We didn't really know where to put it though because not only was my house not complete, his house was a little too small for a full-on enchantment table. Looks like the dirty floor will have to do. Now we look really cool with our level 30 enchantment table that we can't use because we are lacking 30 levels. What do you do to fix this on day 15? Well, you don't make an Enderman Farm. You don't make a blaze farm, and you definitely don't make a mob spawner when you're both prone to dying. What do? You go to hell. Yeah, hell is nether in Minecraft, which means we're gonna go straight to the nether and start mining quartz. Not the most effective strategy since we both are prone to death and the mob farm would have been safer now that I think about it. But hey, what's a quick trip to hell with the boys? With 2 pickaxes at the ready, I decided to head over to the enchantment table and test my luck. Now I did end up wasting a lot of diamonds because I crafted 2 diamond pickaxes, but the reason for this was because I had a feeling my enchants were gonna suck. The first enchant, I got efficiency and unbreaking, but I didn't get fortune. And on the second one, I got efficiency and fortune 2, which isn't great, but I was later able to combine them into an efficiency 5, fortune 2, unbreaking 3 pickaxe, and I used that for a very long time now that I think about it. As well as I did enchant the axe with the efficiency 4, but no one cares about the axe right now. With my new diamond axe upgrade, I was promoted to head lumberjack, which means deforestation is at an all-time high. And yes, that's code for me destroying even more spruce trees so I can finish up my house. Which is exactly what I did. I started working on every single layer of this house. Now overall, it's about a 3-layer type of house, or at least it goes inward and then upward again. I don't really know how to describe this, especially since it's not a house. It's more or less a giant tower where I can launch off with my elytra at the very least. Now, yes, of course, I can store all of my items here and have an enchantment table and all the cool stuff, but for now, I really just want to focus on the building aspect instead of what I can put inside. That's where I go wrong a lot with my builds, is I instead decide this is going to be the chest area, and I make it all around the chests. Instead, what I need to be doing is making a build and then putting the stuff inside of it, hoping that it fits. Yes, it makes it a little bit harder to build, but it also makes all these buildings look so much better. Speaking of really good builds, this is what it looks like currently. Once I get the top very flat, I'm going to add some more stilts and make it kind of a room with a roof, and I think it'll make it look so much better. For now, I put building to the side while I go to the nether and gather more levels. Obviously, 2 tools is not really enough, and my axe is already about to break, so I'm going to need a lot more levels. Currently at level 22, I'll see you when I'm a lot higher level. And you know what, I think level 35 is probably good enough for now. Coolest thing though is on my way out of the nether, I decided to fight 2 wither skeletons. Now of course I doubt I was gonna get ahead, but once I hit one off and was able to kill the next one, I did get ahead. But let's just say for now, we need to pay attention to the guy who actually fell off. Later in this 100 days video, you'll find out something about that second skeleton that neither Winter nor I could have predicted. Oh, how my spruce supply must have noticed that I really wanted to make another lumberjack joke. But I'll spare you all the cringe and just tell you that on day 25, I went back to chopping down even more trees. Since we destroyed a forest already, we may as well just destroy another mine and get all this deep slate just for me. This is way too big of a build. Alright, now that I've got all the resources I needed, it's back to work on the roof. Let's just say, coming up with this roof was a lot harder than I thought, and I'm not a very good person when it comes to stairs, so this was much harder than you'd ever expect. After some time though, I got the roof looking magnificent, if I do say so myself. Okay, pause. So day 30, I didn't exactly record at the right time, but basically I ended up in the nether, and where that wither skeleton fell off of, there was actually a wither skeleton skull, which means that when I hit him off, I not only got the luck from the first guy, I got the luck from the second guy. The guy on top and the guy who fell off both gave me a wither skeleton skull, so that is probably the best luck I've ever seen, and I didn't even have looting. Anyway, day 30 and 31 were spent in either Ward Forest or Crimson Forest gathering the, what are these, the mushrooms, the shroom lights? Yeah, the glowing shroom lights. I figured this would be like the coolest type of lighting I could add to the castle because glowstone is ugly and we don't really have a nice lighting block except for these, and so I just grabbed a lot of these. And once I did, I started slowly adding them to the outside of the build, and it took a long time because I had to stack up over and over again because of how tall this thing is, but overall, it still makes it look really nice. The shroom lights were definitely a better call than adding a ton of glowstone, which just isn't a good block anymore. But that's the exterior of my tower, now it's time for the interior. Oh boy. Now that I'm gonna have to start doing the interior, I'm gonna need more trees, and we don't really have the fastest growing trees, so I headed back into the nether to see if I could find any bone blocks. I was lucky and did find a soul sand valley pretty far away, but I was able to find one, and I gathered as many bone blocks as I possibly could. Winter later stole them, but you know what, that's fine. And speaking of Winter, you guys haven't seen him in a while. Let's just say he's taking on a lot more building projects than he's ever done. Once I had all the wood that I needed, I started building floor by floor, staircase by staircase, the interior of my base. I didn't get to the minor details on these 2 days, but don't worry, day 38, I continued doing the minor details, aka building myself a kitchen and getting my chest room done. I mean, actually, it took until like day 44 to get the entire interior done, and let's just say 40 days later, the base is not only looking really good, but really large. I told you Winter said earlier that I don't know scale, and he's definitely not wrong. How it took me 40 days to build this entire base? Well, it was because I decided to not go mining and get amazing gear beforehand. Instead, I just decided to start building this thing. But at least it's done now, and I don't have any... Oh, I have 3 more giant projects? Oh, well, I guess you guys are gonna see a lot more building. Now, I'm about 40 days behind Winter when it comes to armor, mining trips, farming, animals, all the things that are basic when it comes to playing Minecraft. And that's due to my giant tower, so I think it's time we at least armor up a little bit. Which means it's time for another mining trip. Day 45 and 46 were spent down in the mines. Oh, and what comes with a mining trip? Oh yeah, that's right, a mining montage. Hit it. Oh, that was cringy. And after that long mining trip, Winter needed some help with some villagers. Basically, he was trying to get them into his, glass pen, and he needed a piston and a lever so that he could get the boat up the hill, and it was just annoying. Like I said, villagers are not our friends. Actually, we hate them. And the Dimwit decided to use a frozen lake to get his villager all the way back to his place, because, you know what? Boats can definitely go through ice. We learned that with the Titanic. But after a few misplaced pistons, we eventually got the villager all the way back to his glass incubator, as I'd like to call it, where he can stably breed these villagers and get whatever trades he wants. After that really fun attempt with villagers, I decided it would be time to finally make my own farm. Now that we're almost 50 days into it, I decided to start doing the real Minecraft things. Farming, getting cows, Actually, wait, I don't do that. I just build more stuff. So basically, this is a failed farm where I just cover up a river for now. Eventually, pumpkins are gonna be here, but it's uninteresting. So to make it interesting, we're gonna have to add a lot more things around it so that it looks a lot better. And that means I'm gonna need even more materials, because what is a 100 days video without 15 or so days spent gathering just materials? And that's exactly what I did. I went and farmed more spruce trees because, hey, why not? I'm gonna need it to build a bridge so that this area doesn't look just like a farm. And eventually, when I realized what I wanted to do with this mountain, I had to flatten the entire thing out. This whole area is gonna be farmland, and it was a very big terraforming project. The wood I gathered was for a bridge up to this farmland, and all this dirt and all this flat land I'm gonna use for potatoes and wheat, and it'll look really cool eventually, but for now it's just a build in progress. And that build in progress took a couple days. I cleared out a lot of land so I could start my bridge design, and it went up all the way to the mountain. It took me a while to get down the actual staircase design that I wanted because, well, an upward bridge is a lot harder than just a bridge. I decided to use spruce wood because, well, obviously it looks the best, but I didn't strip it this time because I feel like my build should be the only thing that I have stripped because, I mean, it looks the coolest. And the bridges are, well, they're leading to farms, and I kind of like the dark with all the green. I don't know. I decided to not strip the bridge. I just like it this way. And I think for an upward bridge, this looks pretty good, and this will lead directly to my farms, and yeah, I mean, it's cool. Never done an upwards bridge before, so let me know what you think about it down below in the comments. And like I've said before, I did take on a lot of projects during this 100 days. The second one was, well, a second bridge. I kind of wanted it to look like a bridge that would kind of fit a dam-esque area, and the only purpose is for it to look cool. I mean, seriously, this took me a long time to make because it was a lot more detailed than the first bridge, but it was just necessary because I really want this world to look cool. Normally I only build because, well, I can, and I only build the things that, well, help me in my world. So chest rooms, enchantment table areas, and maybe farms at the very basic. But now I'm building out of cool factor. I want my world to look super nice, and that's exactly why I built the second bridge. And to continue my building prowess, I decided to work on paths for all of my builds. One from my tower directly to the first bridge, and then from there all the way to the farm. I also added some logs on the outside to make it more of fenced in, I guess. In a way, it's kind of just areas I can put lanterns, but I think it makes the whole path look a lot nicer. And then, of course, you add some leaves, because you can't have a build without leaves. Like, that's just basic building. Then, after all that, my tools were in desperate need of healing, so I headed to the nether and decided to get even more quartz that I will never use. Back to the deep slate mines, my favorite. Now, as I've mentioned before, I am a few 100,000 days late when it comes to getting villagers, getting animals, which I still don't do in these 100 days, and basically keep up with winter and this whole Minecrafting thing. Now, this build is planned out to be a villager trading hall, and I might say one of the biggest builds I've actually taken on. Yes, the tower was huge, but this thing was made for, well, a giant. I made this so bad. And to start the build, I had to clear out all this area, meaning all the dirt, all the trees, and then terraform it, which is a big project. This build turned out a lot bigger than it was supposed to. I was planning for way more villagers than I was ever going to need, so I started out with a foundation of deep slate, I think these are called tiles, and bricks. Obviously, I mix matched them because, well, they look better like that, as well as I paired it with spruce wood because that's my favorite wood in this entire series and game at this point. Unfortunately, the building process was pretty long and it entailed the nighttime, which means I was bombarded with mobs. Thankfully, winter came over now and again and cleared them out for me. Now, as you guys know, this build is one of a kind. Actually, I've made it like 100 times by now. This is the villager trading hall that everybody uses. You have a zombie walk down here or not bombard you, hopefully. And then there are villagers above them that they can eat whenever they so please, or whenever you let them so please. Basically, it's a super easy way to, well, cure your villagers over and over again for better trades. And that's what this is, just on a gigantic scale. Now, I made the walls about 5 high, or at least the stone walls about 5 high. I do end up adding a roof made of like andesite and wood and that kind of stuff up top, but I'll show you that in a minute. This bottom area is specifically going to be for villagers and housing them, as well as the top area is going to house all the villagers that I breed. So it's not only just a villager trading hall, but also a villager breeder, something that I don't accomplish anytime soon in my hardcore world. Now, this build took about 2 days working straight through nights. And I would say it was really hard, but it ended up being quite easy. The biggest part of this whole thing was the bottom part, and I finished that in about a day and maybe a half. I don't know. It didn't take that long. And the top part was literally just andesite and logs. I mean, maybe the hardest part was the roof because of how detailed roofs can be, but again, this one wasn't super detailed. This is one of those builds a very beginning builder can do, and that's really what I am, but somehow I still built that tower and the bridge. I don't know how I did those, but this seems more like one of my type of builds. I think later, though, I will add a lot more detail to this, but for now, this serves a great purpose as a villager trading hall and breeder. Now, to finish the build, I need to do some aesthetics, aka get slime for my slime pistons, or sticky pistons. And then I can use those sticky pistons to determine whether or not a villager's been a good boy or is being fed to a zombie. Oh yeah, and this swamp, about 3,000 blocks away. You're lucky I skipped over that part because it's not fun. And just for that, I'll let you watch me slap a tiny slime. Good? Okay, moving on. Now let me take you to day 67. Day 67, I decided to work with the most annoying mob in all of Minecraft. And yes, Squidward is who I'm talking about. I decided to boat these guys over from the nearest village, aka the Acacia, which can be seen from my tower or basically anything that I've built thus far, and hopefully get them to the top layer of my gigantic trading hall. To do that, I had to use these pistons and a boat to get them all the way up, and it just wasn't the most fun experience I've had all day. But once I finally got them up there, I threw some bread at them and stared at them for a while. Look, I know that it's just like not good to do. It's really not good etiquette when someone's trying to make a baby and you just watch them the whole time. Okay, that sounds a lot creepier than it should be. Then I decided to give Winter a tour of my new trading hall. He thought it was pretty cool because, well, you can flick a lever and then basically turn the zombie whenever you want. Then following that, I decided to cut down way too many trees because, well, I have more builds in mind, because that's always what I do. Using those materials I gathered for the next couple days, I went ahead and made even more pathways. Now, it wasn't a specific path, it was more of a border around the farmland that I was planning on making. And that plan finally came to fruition when I finished up this border and decided to start hoeing the ground. This farm was going to be specific for potatoes and carrots most likely, as I already have the pumpkin farm below my bridge that looks like a dam. And since I didn't have all the proper resources, it wasn't finished right away, but I was able to bone meal a lot of the potatoes so I could get even more, and at least have somewhat of a structured farm by the end of it. I want to salute a fallen soldier on day 71. So my thought process was, with my villagers, I wanted some variety, aka I wanted a snow villager. And since I had only grabbed acacia ones, they were all basically the exact same villager type, and I needed some diversity. But when I went to go get myself a snow villager, we had the most unfortunate encounter with way too many mobs. As I was driving him through an icy river, I got the worst luck possible and had a skeleton two-shot him instead of me. Here lie the most amazing villager ever, one who never hummed in my ear while I was driving the boat. Rest in peace, little fella. Now, to continue my mass breeding company, I'm gonna need a lot more beds for all these villagers to sleep in and basically produce more babies. So I went village after village, aka the 4 that I knew of, and collected as many beds as I possibly could and placed them all in the villager breeder. Oh yeah, and along the way I also got this horse. His name is Thunder, and I don't ever use him because we get elytras pretty soon. Anyway, next day. With all the things we've built and accomplished throughout this entire 100 days, or at least 72 at this point, I am still wearing iron armor. Take that in. I've survived 72 days of the 100 days in just iron armor. And at this point, I don't even have a helmet anymore. I don't know what it is, but I guess I don't really want diamond armor anymore because I went straight for netherite. And that's what I spent the next 3 or 4 days doing. Netherite's one of those things that really bores me to death because you have to strip mine for so long unless you have a creeper farm, which I haven't built yet because, well, I built 2 bridges instead. And my luck with netherite takes me quite some time. Thankfully, it didn't take that much longer than I expected. I did find vein after vein, and it wasn't the most fun ever, but it was fine. Instead of me showing you hours of me just mining this stuff, let's just skip to the end here. Yep, that's right, full netherite armor. I look pretty sick, I know. As our journey continues, we need to fight the ender dragon. And that's why an ender eye just came out of Winter's butt. We are on our way to fight the ender dragon. Now, we don't know where this is, but we're gonna follow these eyes until we do. Although, I don't think the dragon has a chance. We kind of are decked out. After much travel, we decided to throw another eye, and we thought we were right on top of it. So we threw one more, and they were pointing in the exact same direction. So, doing the one rule in Minecraft that makes absolutely no sense, we decided to mine straight down. Lucky me, I went straight into the stronghold and we found a really cool stronghold. We walked through a single corridor and then boom, there were 2 libraries, one on the left, one on the right. I got the right, he got the left. Of course, I'm gonna gather up a ton of books because I don't have a great way of getting them. And then I found a Blast Protection 4 book and Knockback 2. Not very good. And on Winter's side, he ended up getting a Silk Touch and Mending book, so that was pretty cool. Later, he gave that to me because he's such a nice fella. The portal took a long time to find, but I went ahead and let Winter light it up so we could jump in and destroy the Ender Dragon once and for all. Oh, the day has come, Sir Dragon. We are here to slay thee and break all the crystals. You know what? That sounded much cooler in my head. Also, at the very start, I accidentally shot Winter trying to shoot an Enderman. FYI, Endermen teleport when you try and shoot them, so my efforts were very useless. And then I started pelting all of the crystals, as you do when you fight a deadly dragon. Of course, my shots were all on point, and I was totally hitting every single one of them, but that's not the point. The point is to just end all of these crystals, and that's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm ending the end crystals. Very interesting. Once the dragon lost its life alert button, we decided to start pelting it with arrows. With every hit getting lower and lower, this fight was very, very simple. I'm not gonna lie, we didn't get low whatsoever, and we totally over-prepared. However, that doesn't mean this is a less exciting fight. Once it decided to perch, I placed out a bed and exploded it down to basically 1 HP, where Winter finished it off for the final victory. We killed the Ender Dragon in 80 days, which, I mean, it's kind of an accomplishment at this point. After just getting full netherite 3 days ago, this was a well-deserved victory. And with that much-deserved victory comes much-deserved rewards. Not only did we get XP and the dragon egg, but we also got an end gateway. Now, obviously, in the end gateway, you can get yourself an elytra, and that is exactly what we did. Our next goal was to get an elytra, and let's just say I'm a little bit luckier than Winter. It took me a solid 5 or so minutes to find my first end city, and of course it had a ship. My intense luck brought me here, and obviously there was end city loot, but let's just say it wasn't as good as I hoped. I'm already decked out full netherite, and diamond and iron isn't good enough anymore. Heck, diamond wasn't good enough when I was in iron, so yeah, I don't really need this stuff. However, what I was worried about was definitely the elytra, because that is the main goal, getting myself an elytra. So I went over to the ship and obviously killed all the shulkers, grabbed myself my elytra, and got the achievement Sky's the Limit, because now I have no limit with this thing. And I decided to prove that by jumping off the ship, switching to my elytra, and gliding to safety, which was probably not the best call. Little scary, but we're fine. And of course, once I got the best item in the game, I left the end because I didn't want to mess with it anymore. Of course, Winter was still searching, and I think he was searching for probably another 10 days. Unlucky guy. And while Winter was stuck in another dimension, I decided to continue my chores, aka working on my farms and... Oh yeah, no, that's it. That was... day 82 was a boring day. And while my best friend was still stuck in another dimension, I decided to work with the most annoying mob known to Minecraft, aka villagers, because I needed their trades for, well, capitalism. Emeralds are the best way for me to get my own beacon, unless I go iron mining forever, which I don't want to do, so emeralds are my way to go. I also started focusing some efforts into potions because, well, like I said, I'm working with villagers, and I'm gonna need these weakness potions to turn them to get the better trade deals that I've always wanted. Scamming villagers has always been a pastime of mine, and it will continue in all days to come. And speaking of those future days, I have a feeling I'm gonna be needing a lot of XP in the future. Not only do we plan on continuing this world in the long run, but I have a feeling I'm gonna want to have a very, very large room full of infinite armor. Not that I will ever need it, but you know what? I'm gonna stack up anyway. And when it comes to XP, I think this entire series I've been using quartz, so for now I have a new idea. I started gathering up all the materials I'm gonna be needing for an entire Enderman farm. Now this is the first time I'm gonna be making one of these, and I'm doing it without a tutorial. Obviously, I've watched other 100 Days YouTubers. They're all great, by the way. If you literally just look up any 100 Days, I'm telling you, you're going to find a really good YouTuber. And hopefully with the knowledge that I have now, I'm going to be able to use all the materials that I'm gathering currently to build myself one of the best XP farms Minecraft has ever known. Before we build this beautiful XP farm, Winter and I had a few side projects we had to accomplish. And one of them was, of course, the Wither. Okay, we had to defeat the Wither. And to do that, we needed Wither skulls. Earlier in the video, you see that I have 2, so he went ahead and gathered the other Wither skull while I went mining because, well, that's what I do best. The mining goal, though, was because I need iron for a beacon, and so does he, so that we can at least have speed around our base. That would be pretty sick. And that's what I set out to accomplish. Get enough iron for an entire beacon in, well, about 1 day, to be honest. It wasn't that difficult. Now that they've added in raw iron, and Fortune actually works on iron and gold now, then this process has been made much easier. Plus, as soon as he got the Wither Skeleton Skull, he also joined me, and combined we had plenty of iron for this beacon. The only thing left was to actually kill the Wither, but instead of doing that, we made the poor choice of getting Bad Omen and starting a raid. You heard that last part correctly. I spent the better part of day 87 at this outpost trying to get Bad Omen 5. Also, at the time, I thought it went to 6, so I did spend a little extra time here. This took way too long in my head because I thought pillagers would spawn right next to the tower. However, they kept going over the lake and I kept having to use my elytra. It was a mess. And getting the guys with the flags to spawn is so much more difficult than it needs to be. For some reason, they just don't want to be around. If you don't know how Pillager Outpost works and raids, basically you sit at this outpost and you wait for one of these flag guys to come around and you kill him. You get 1 level of Bad Omen. Overall, you have to kill 5 of them in a certain amount of time before your Bad Omen goes away in order to get the Bad Omen 5. Once you walk into a village, then boom, your raid starts and you have to protect the villagers. If they die, you lose the raid, or if you wait too long to kill the pillagers, then the raid is a defeat. So me sitting at this outpost for, well, a millennium at this point was really worth it because we got our totems of undying when we started doing the raid. Okay, wait, I think I'm spoiling a little too much. Let me just get to the raid. Once I had Bad Omen 5, Winter went ahead and showed up for the raid. Unfortunately, it was nighttime and we decided it would be better if we slept. So we flew over to the village and basically used our combined 3 brain cells to accidentally start the raid. Like I said before, if you have Bad Omen and you enter a village, then you're gonna start the raid. I don't get how I forgot this, but I just did somehow, and we started the raid instantly, and then phantoms spawned. It was not pretty. Take it, this was the hardest raid Minecraft has offered, so every round is gonna be tough, even for full netherite people, and yes, there are 2 of us, but that doesn't make it easier. There's still gonna be a ton of mobs that are spawning throughout these waves. Wave 1 went down like a piece of cake, and even with all the phantoms and mobs spawning, the pillagers were no match for us. Before round 2 started, we did end up sleeping through the night, luckily, and I trapped villagers in their houses so that they hopefully wouldn't die. As I mentioned previously, any villagers that die really hurt our cause. And round 2 wasn't much of a challenge anyway, it was basically round 1, but even more contained. Round 3 is where we collectively realized that we barely have any food. Also, a Ravager spawned, but I had my bow on me and it wasn't much of a fight. Round 3 was a success within seconds because I was able to bow and Winter went in for all the stabby stabs. Round 4 spawned and there were already witches joining the battle. The main bad part about these guys is they will heal the pillagers consistently, which means we're never going to be able to kill them if we don't kill the witches first. Luckily, me and my trusty bow were able to handle most of it until I had to axe crit some of the, I don't know what these guys are named, axe guys? I started beating one with a pork chop for fun, I don't know. I have one of the lowest high IQs in the world, alright? Let me be. Before round 5 started, I thought best to get on this house, and I was correct. That is when a Vindicator and a Ravager spawned at the same time. Luckily, I was able to bow from afar, and Winter took out the Vindicator within seconds. I really thought the raids would be much harder, but with a punch bow, they can't get any easier. I was also able to bow another Vindicator from very far away and get my first totem of undying. Winter and I are 5 rounds into this raid, and we already have extra lives, and nothing has really touched us. We feel almost invincible. And that's when multiple Vindicators decided to spawn and use magic on Winter while I was bowing from the top ropes. However, our background in 1.8 PvP definitely gave us a huge advantage when it came to fighting a raid. We always used to work together on Hypixel, and we can do it here. Round 7 was much bigger though. We had so many more Vindicators than we realized and 2 Ravengers that instantly locked onto me. Luckily I had a punch 2 bow and was able to constantly fling them back as well as slowly kill the Vindicator on top. It was a much more difficult round than what we were used to, but it definitely didn't kill us. I secured my second totem of undying and we started fighting all of the little, I don't know what these guys are actually called. I'm gonna call them mini fly guys because the mini fly guys were very, very annoying. After all though, they are only code and our brain cells are a little bit bigger than theirs. So round 7 was nothing. At this point, we started wondering when the raid was going to end. Obviously, we had round after round of Ravengers and Vindicators, which were the main hitters of this entire raid. They did the most damage and were the ones with basically the most health. During this round, I had to fight 2 Ravengers and a Vindicator while Winter was fighting 2 Vindicators and a Ravenger. He definitely wasn't screaming about how low he was this entire time, but we won't talk about that. While that round was finishing up, Winter still hadn't killed the Ravenger yet, and I had to take the lead. Luckily, it was only 2 bow shots and it was already dead. Then we finished off the round with killing the last 2 guys and, well, I guess there was 1 left. Of course, it was just a witch hiding in the caves right underneath me the whole time. And with all that done, we got our Heroes of the Village achievement and we were the victors. We successfully completed an 8-round raid. And we thought that was gonna be much, much harder. I think the lowest I got was 7 hearts. Don't go back in the footage, okay? Make it 7 hearts. Put it in your mind. 7 hearts was the lowest I got. You know, he was probably close to dying anyway, so I think, you know, I'm the better player. Anyway, let's move on to the next day. Getting home with 4 totems was much more pleasing than I thought. Now I have 4 extra lives and I don't have to worry so much about dying in hardcore. While you guys watch this video, I want to know how many days I do just for chores, okay? Because that's what this day was. Day 89 was specifically just for chores and labeled not being bored. Please help me during these 100 days videos. I need more ideas. Wait, no, day 90 was also about farming and chores. Oh, that's not good. Okay, well, maybe we'll get something exciting soon? My labeling system is so bad, I don't understand how I don't do cool stuff on these days. Oh, there we go. This one reads Beating the Wither. Okay, back into character. As I mentioned before, Winter went ahead and gathered our last Wither Skeleton Skull, which means we have the ability to now get our first beacon of this 100 days world. So what do? We flew over to the snowy biome and we decided to fight the Wither. Us 2 versus Wither, I like our odds. I have a bow, he has a sword, and we already know our parts. We didn't want it to escape, so we dug out a tunnel where we could spawn it in, and that's exactly what we did. We spawned it in, we let it explode, and then we started the fight. I went in with the bow first because it's vulnerable to a bow at the very beginning, and then Winter went in and slapped it with the sword until it was done, and the Wither definitely needs buff because that literally didn't hurt us whatsoever. You'd think Minecraft being out for so long, it would be a lot more difficult to fight its second most powerful boss. No. But now we have a Wither Star, which means we can get our first beacon and slap on any effect we choose. Now, if you remember correctly, about 5 or so days ago, I mentioned an XP farm, aka an Enderman Farm. Apparently, Winter and I got a little bit sidetracked from that idea, but now we're actually heading to do it. So I traveled all the way back to our end portal, which took me a little bit longer to find since we didn't screenshot the coords, and began placing our leaves at Y0 so we could bridge out 120 blocks to make our Enderman Farm. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen so many tutorials on this and seen a lot of people build it, so I'm gonna skip through the process and make it a little bit easier for you. Halfway through the project, I realized I definitely did not have enough carpet, and I basically had to sick Winter on killing as many sheep as he could. Eventually, though, he met up with me in the end and got all the carpet down while I made all the Endermen down there that were spawning very, very mad at me so he could place the carpet. We did have a little bit of a mishap when it came to the Endermite and some name tagging, but eventually we got the Endermite tagged. Now, what this Endermite does is it kind of aggroes the Enderman. Apparently, they don't like each other. So when the Endermite's there, the Enderman will target him and go straight into this giant pitfall where they are now 1 HP, and we can get all the XP we need. Winter really liked this farm, let's just say that. He sat here for a very long time. I actually never even got to use it during these 100 days, but that's all right. With only about 6 days left in this entire 100-day series, I'm stuck wondering why I don't have any book villagers yet. I haven't gotten any mending books from protection, unbreaking, efficiency, fortune, none of that yet, and that's what I tasked myself with on day 94. I painstakingly sat here for way too long breaking the lectern for every single one of these villagers just to get the trades that I wanted. Eventually, I was blessed and got mending, protection, unbreaking, efficiency, sharpness, fortune, silk touch, and many more. I believe many more. I might have just named them all somehow. It's been like a month since I've recorded this, and I haven't even looked at the footage yet while I'm doing this voiceover, but I'm just that good. Now that I have all the extra books I need, the only thing I have to worry about now with those guys is getting their trades down to literally nothing. The next 3 days, I did the most boring things possible and decided to continue my farms as well as go mining. Yes, these things may not be the most exciting in the world, but they prepare me for the next 100 days, which we will be doing. Only if you guys like this video, okay? So if you are watching this and you haven't already, consider liking the video. It'll boost the analytics as well as make me super happy and get you another one of these out. It's a win-win-win-win at this point. So yeah, you know what? You should just do that. So as per usual with 100 days, there is normally a pretty big send-off when we get to about day 98 to 100. Since that's where we are currently standing at, day 98, we decided to get more Bad Omen and do a raid, but not at a random village. We decided to do it at our base that is our home with all of our villagers that we have to actually take care of, and we really need to worry if they die or not. So I gathered up Bad Omen, you already know that process, and we decided to fly back home and take on the raid. Somehow, this one felt much more difficult than the other. I feel like it was because we are so much more split up and the mobs were able to take advantage of that even though they have no brain cells or IQ. There were times when I was very low, there were times when we could not find the last mob, there were times that were times, okay? And of course, we had to do it at night because we have little to no brain cells, like I've mentioned before. But with this raid coming to a close, we were able to secure another 4 totems each. Oh yeah, and I didn't mention this, but I think while in the Enderman Farm, Winter might or may not have died. So he did use up a totem, which means he's 1 lower than I am. And if I remember even more correctly, I believe he's 2 lower than I am, but I can't remember the other death. Thankfully, though, after the raid was over, we were able to secure all of our villagers and make sure that they were safe. And with the end of our raid, that brings these last 100 days to a close. For our last and final day, Winter and I did a little reminiscing and walked around our builds to check it all out. Over the course of these last 100 days, he has built his own house, I've built my own house, he's built a villager breeder, I've built a villager breeder. He at least has cows, I have a gigantic farm with a giant bridge. And we've done some really cool achievements, including the Wither, the Ender Dragons, a couple of raids, netherite armor. This was a great 100 days, and as always, if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button down below. Helps us out, helps me out. It'd be great to see you guys for the next 100 days video. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.